first of all, incredible. 160 pounds total on your journey. I
Yes.
did not want to overlook that. That is incredible. Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today we have a special guest. Nichelle is here with us today, and we've got an exciting journey. It's going to be a nice little roller coaster ride for y'all. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit about what she was able to accomplish, that's coming up next. Stay tuned. All right, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Yay.
You've been smiling like literally since you joined the room.
That is my secret weapon and my superpower all rolled into one. So yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I have diffused a many a situations with these how many 32 teeth in my mouth. So yeah.
Yeah. Smiles are kind of my personal weakness.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I don't know. It's something about a nice smile and
Yeah.
just but I wanted to ask you, how long have you been following the AHA brand? Like, when did you find us?
I think it was February of February of 2021. I remember seeing the story of your brother who lost all the weight, water fasting, and I had already started my journey. So I started my journey in I wrote these dates down. It was May 29th, 2020. So right in the middle of COVID, uh,
Right.
which was my huge motivation for getting started again. I will tell
Mm,
you, I have been a chronic yo-yo dieter for, oh my gosh, all my adult life. So,
mm,
40 years. That's been my cycle. And we were getting so much crazy information during that season. I didn't really know what to believe, but what I kept hearing was I felt like I was a demographic that was possibly in trouble for, COVID. I was
mm.
obese, I was African American, and I was over 50. So I was like, I can't do nothing about the age, you know, but I can definitely control. I can't do anything about being black, but love it and enjoy it and embrace it and be thankful. But I could do something about the weight, and
Mm,
I just made up my mind again. I wanted to be here. I want to be healthy, and I did not want to die from COVID. I just was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. It just, um, I mean, just like everybody else was going through it, it just was one of those things where the pause just kind of made me reassess everything. And
mhm.
so I just started. I started again. Let me say, I've been vegetarian since 1990, but um, not the healthiest of a vegetarian. But what I'm finding out is that even not a great vegetarian diet probably kept me
Mm,
because my I guess my medical diagnosis was obesity. I had no high blood pressure. I had no diabetes. I had none of the things that you would typically think of somebody who has teetered, between 275 and 300 plus pounds. I
right.
had joint issues, but just not typical, especially being an African American, again, an African American woman. I did not have none of that stuff showed up. So I give that, I think, being even a not so great vegetarian is probably better than the standard American diet. So it definitely kept me.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to the vegetarian, um, there's intention behind your eating, and that alone makes a difference. I
Hmm.
was listening to a guy who did I guess they did like a study on the eating habits of Americans, and they were
Mhm.
saying that most Americans um they eat out, or I'm sorry, they cook at home like 1 or 2 times a week,
Mm.
and cleanup is an average of 4 minutes. So
Wow.
you could imagine that, what are you cooking to where your cleanup is only 4 minutes? I mean, it's in a
Right.
box, it's in a bag.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, just by putting more intention on your eating, I mean, it doesn't take much to be better than the standard diet.
Right. Right.
uh,
Right.
so that's excellent. So your COVID, which actually, it's interesting because, with everything quote unquote negative that happened surrounding that
Right.
situation, a lot of spark, the seed of growth started for a lot of
Mm,
people.
mm.
And so for you, it was weight loss, it was wanting to be healthy, it was wanting to
Yeah.
live.
Yes.
And so with obesity being your primary concern, what was your starting weight when you started?
So I started my starting weight in May of 2020 was 324. And that is the highest that I have record of. I have some pictures. I have a picture. It's so funny. A lot of pictures that I have include my oldest daughter, she's 22, but I have a picture of her when she was probably about 9 months old. And I don't know what I weighed there, but I feel like I look larger in that picture than some of the other pictures that I have used um, to to document my weight loss journey. But that
Mm.
day on May 29th, 2020, I stepped on a scale. That's what I weighed, 324.6.
So has weight been a issue for you? I know you said you struggled your entire adult
Mhm.
life with the yo-yoing. Were
Yeah.
you also dealing with being overweight as a child and adolescence?
So it kind of started around adolescence. And, I think a part of being able to self-awareness is to try to understand the whys, and the only thing that kind of stands out in my mind, there was a period of time I was probably around 12ish, and my mom had gotten sick, and I just remember really being triggered by that because I don't remember receiving a lot of information. She was hospitalized, and I can remember thinking um, that she was dying, but no one was telling me that, and she wasn't. But in my 12-year-old mind,
Mm.
I thought she was, and it's almost like switch went off, you know. And I just remembered, starting to use food to comfort. Probably before then, I look back, at elementary school, I was average. I was 7 pounds and some ounces, at birth weight, and um, but probably right before puberty, right around that time is when I can remember starting to my weight started to pick up.
Wow. Well, that I think that's important to be able to identify, maybe what was the trauma, or the event
Right.
that sparked it, especially when people talk about yo-yoing a lot.
Mhm.
Usually, I think when people yo-yo, it's because they don't understand why they actually eat, why they're gaining the weight. Like, they're just thinking, oh, I need to change my habits.
Mhm.
But you don't think
Mhm.
about, like, what caused this in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think that's just an important key to having, like, longevity and success.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, being an emotional eater is just, it's common in America.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about other parts of the world, but here we do that. And I'm assuming from that point things just kind of spiral, because you said your mom was her life wasn't being threatened, so she came back home, things kind of normalized, but you held on to that tool you had developed.
Right. And even, if I even go back even further, um, this has come through a lot of prayer and meditation and, my religious practice and stuff, is that even the root of that was just a feeling of unworthiness.
Mm.
I have, struggled with self-esteem, and it makes sense that all this would kind of blossom at puberty because you got puberty going on,
Yeah.
and so you feel a little. At least I did. Let me speak for myself. I felt a little awkward. I felt a little. I've always felt a little out of pocket with everybody else, a little different. I don't know. And so you throw some hormones on top of that, and I was by nature, I'm an introvert. I like being by myself. And so, but even so, you got all that stuff going on, and then just not, I just didn't, I don't know. There was just a root of unworthiness, just like
Mm.
I had to work and prove myself to people, to my family, in order to be of value. And so that opened up a window of people pleasing. So,
Mm.
um, backtracking, I could see all these little pieces that connected, and then when I would feel like I would miss the mark or someone didn't like me, I would kind of go inside. Um, and then you've got the narrative, the negative self-talk,
Mm.
um, you know, these stories that you just spin I would spin on myself, and in order to soothe, I would use the food, to just kind of make me feel better in that moment. The food became what I used.
Mm. Yeah. It's a very, like I mentioned, it's very, very common tool. And I think one of the things that's dangerous about food, because when we think about like addiction and coping mechanisms,
Mm-hmm.
we really don't think about food as much. We think about like the stuff that society says is
Right.
like hard, it's bad,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So we get away with using food as a coping mechanism, and it just it's I like to shine light on that as much as possible because I just think that people don't view it that way enough. um,
Right.
Especially when you talk about young children, it's like, especially if it's a boy. Oh my God, he's a young growing boy. He's got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you play baseball, you lose the game, you take it out, cheer him up. He
Mm-hmm.
asks that girl out, and she rejects him. He gets made fun of at school, or even the girl gets made fun of at school. You take her out for ice cream, and we reinforce using food
Yeah.
as a coping mechanism. So finding other ways to deal with that, I think, is important for yo-yoers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because life is going to continue to happen.
Yep.
You know, they're already talking about the next pandemic. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 Yep.
so I think once again, COVID was a great opportunity for us to do self-reflection. So you made the
Mhm.
decision to change. Now you
Yeah.
said that you had already started your journey before you found AHA. Tell
Yes.
me a little bit about what are some of the things that you have done in the past to lose weight, and then what were you doing prior to, finding AHA?
So I think I was a Weight Watchers girl. Like that just made sense to me. I thought it would be a way to just be able to, control my eating. And I love the support, the community, going
Mm,
to the meetings and things like that. And I will say this, like, Chris, I have never had problems losing weight. Like, that has never been my challenge. My challenge has always been the maintenance part.
mm,
Once I decide this is what we're doing, this is what I'm gonna do, you know, um, I just that's just not I don't know if it's the biology of me. I don't know. But that has never really been my struggle. And even at this age, I'm 56 years old and I am perimenopause. And so that still hasn't affected my ability to lose weight. So that has not been my thing. So Weight Watchers worked. Everything I actually tried worked,
Mm.
but I couldn't do it long term because there was other things that needed to be addressed. Like for instance, I am a volume eater. I eat large portions of food. And even when I was eating, not healthy food, I would eat large portions. I'm not a one slice pizza girl. I'm the whole pizza girl.
Yeah.
I'm not a half a cup of ice cream girl. I'm the whole carton girl. And so those things now in this season, I have accepted that those are just my truths. I'm like, if something's gonna if it was gonna change, it would have changed already. That's how I feel like. I'm still open to change, but it's just one of the things I've embraced about me and not feel any way uh it's not a negative. Maybe that's just how I was created. And so um large volumes. And so with, like for instance with Weight Watchers, really you had to constantly kind of be readjusting down, like your points and things like that. So now I'm eating even less food and I have to be more conscious
Mm.
about what I'm eating. And that just put me in a state of being hypersensitive,
Yeah.
like always walking around thinking this is the meal that's going to send me back over the edge into the whole cycle again, or
Mm.
this thing, and just yeah. So I would I would do it with the intention of doing something like you were saying earlier. It's like I'm going to change this and not really understanding the why am I having problems with the maintenance. And uh so with uh, the plan or the lifestyle that I follow now, being plant based, being vegan, is that I get to eat large volumes of food, and I am just thrilled about that. I just absolutely love eating a whole bag of spinach. I mean, not having to portion it out, not having to. I can only have a cup of this. So that was one of my truths I had to accept. The other is that the other weight things that I would try is always like the low carb, high fat kind of thing, high protein. And I just did not seem to do that well. My energy seemed to crash a lot. I tried, I think it was like the South Beach diet or something like that. As I was eating, still vegetarian, but still eating, uh, you know, um, low carb, um, lots of protein, lots and lots of protein, lots and lots of fat. And I can just remember like being on treadmill, working out, and just felt like I had hit a wall. Like I just felt so sluggish and lethargic. I was like, I don't think this is working for me. So my other truth is that I like carbs. Whenever I say that, I always think about the little Oprah thing, how she says, I like bread. I like carbs. I
Mhm.
like carbs. Like that is um, when I'm most satisfied with the meal is when I've had carbs. And so, out of all of these kind of uh, practice runs, um, uh, I came across the starch solution. And so, when I started my journey, that's how I started to eat. And when I tell
Oh.
you, I I tested everything they said. You can have potatoes. I mean, potatoes, man. I'm like eating them by the pound. You can
Yeah.
have pasta.
What?
I was just like, oh, this, I felt like I died and went to heaven. Now, of course, the caveat to that is that the starch solution is high carb, but it's low fat. And I had just come to the conclusion that if I had to sacrifice something about my eating that I felt like I could live forever without or in limited amounts, what would that be? And it would absolutely be fat. Like
Mm.
I'm okay with having eating oil free or getting my fat from avocados or nuts and seeds and things like that. But I was completely okay with someone saying, you can have a baked potato, but you have to leave off the vegan butter, or you can have um, French fries, but air fry them. So those were like changes that I was willing to make. That it just felt like it was a win-win for me. It was like a no-brainer. I was just like, are
Mm.
you kidding me? Of course. So that's how I got started um with the first, I guess, from 2020 to 2021. So in February, sometime around the early part of the year is when I found a healthy alternative, and I was just blown away by the water fasting. And I was just like, man, I wish I had found this. I'm looking at these all these success stories and no loose skin. And I have some loose skin, but I'm just like, as in hindsight, I'm just like, I could have done this and maybe not had some loose skin, but whatever. Health is the most important, for
Mhm.
me at this point, but still. So I did a 5-day water fast. First time I'd ever done a 5-day water fast,
Wow. Out the
and
gate.
felt amazing. Felt amazing. Was in shock and awe that I could even do it.
Mhm.
Um, and when I ended the fifth day, um, I was trying to figure out, like, how I didn't want to regain, the weight that I had lost, but what could I do to continue this, because I hadn't gotten to goal weight. I didn't. I technically the goal, the weight that I had set for myself, I did not get to until March of this year.
Okay.
My goal weight was 165, and I got to 164 literally on my birthday of this year. So, but so from there, uh, I started the alternate day fasting. And I'm not even sure. I'm trying to think, because there's been so many books and doctors and things that I have read along the way, including a healthy alternative as well. But I started out um, doing the alternate day fasting, yeah, as a tool to not regain the weight that I lost during the water fast.
Makes sense. Mhm.
Yeah, and during the first year, I would do water fast. I would do an occasion. I think I've done maybe 2 or 3 5 days, maybe 7 days. Maybe I did a 7-day water fast. I think that's the longest I've done. Um, uh, yeah, probably like 7 days, but probably like maybe one time a 7-day fast. But I would do those, sporadically throughout the my journey.
Mhm.
Um, Little did I know or expect that I would still be alternate day fasting. And it has been a year and March, April, May, June, a year and 4 months. So for 16 months, I have been eating every other day.
Wow.
My fasts usually go about 36 hours in between um, my eating cycle. And then I usually break my fast sometime between 12 and 2 p.m. And I usually have a 8-hour window to eating window when I'm being um, mindful. There's definitely days it goes over that.
Mhm.
But and during that time period, I lost maybe another 70 pounds. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I hit the 100-pound weight loss last summer. So, and my total weight loss now is 160 pounds. I've lost 160 pounds. And so I lost the additional probably 60 pounds. Um, Still eating starch solution on the days that I eat. I still eat high carb, low fat, but I've also added in the alternate day fasting. And I have just, life has just been amazing. I wake up, I have energy. Um, I have um, no stiffness, no I used to have terrible, terrible bone spurs, heel spurs, plantar fasciitis. I mean, so bad that I couldn't wear shoes that had that were enclosed in the back. I mean, it was just bad. You know,
Wow.
I'd have to warm up to walk, stretch my feet out. None of that. I rolled out the bed. I sleep like a baby. My doctor keeps trying to tell me that's going to change as I continue into menopause, but I rebuke that. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. You're not taking hormones, not taking my sleep. I sleep like a baby. I mean, I sleep a good, solid 6 to 8 hours. And when I come
Mm,
home from work, I usually take a nap. So I have lots of energy. Um, and the most important thing is during those fasting windows is the clarity.
mm,
Oh my gosh. When I first started doing it, I promise you there were days where I really felt like God was walking with me. Because when COVID first started, that was my form of not only exercise, but just clearing the noise of COVID and the number of people that are dying and being on social media. And it was just too much for me. And so
mhm.
I started out walking just like 4 laps around the high school uh, track. And I got up to like walking 6 miles a day, every day.
Wow.
Yeah, not 7 days a week, walking 6 miles. And it was like God was walking with me on
Mm,
those fasting days. I could hear him. I could get information, things that I had struggled with or been praying about or whatever. All of a sudden, it was just clear. It was like, do this, go here, talk to this person, read this book, you know,
mm.
just information. I used to call my husband and I'd be like, I had another download, I had a spiritual download. This is what we're supposed to do. This is where we're supposed to go. And it was just as clear as day.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been um every time I think, am I supposed to do this the rest of my life? As far as like the alternate day fasting, I don't know what the long term uh what that looks like long term. Uh I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It feels like a good thing for me. I don't know. But it has just been amazing, and I think that has been the pull. I think that is why I'm like, if I go back to eating every day, I think I'll always be, quote unquote, an intermittent faster because I like having that stop and start. I think as somebody who has recovered from compulsive overeating, uh, it puts me back in the driver's seat. I have a video where I talk about that, like always feeling like food was driving me, and this puts me back as the driver with the intermittent fasting, just having a start and an end to my eating. Um, but man, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm the guinea pig of myself, what this looks like, now into my second year of alternate day fasting. I don't know, but that's kind of where I am right now. And
That's incredible.
yeah,
Yeah, you're couple well, lots of things I wanna touch on. I think alternate day fasting is an amazing tool for maintenance.
yeah.
Just to give you my opinion on it, um, perfectly fine to do for the rest of your life. Zero concerns there. When I came off of my very long fasting stint where, 5, 6 months, I'm fasting heavy.
Mhm.
my body naturally was like 1 meal per day. You know,
Mm.
it was before I really understood the concept of it. It was just like that's just what my body wanted to do.
Mhm.
Uh, and I tell people all the time, when you actively attack this and you approach this with intention,
Mhm.
and then you begin the process of normalizing, you're going to naturally lean to something.
Mhm.
Just go with that.
Okay.
It, the mentality of like wanting to go back to old habits is the problem anyway, because that's where
Yeah.
we got in trouble to begin with.
True.
And where did that information come from? The government and
Mm.
taught us
Mm.
improper information. Like the doctors are learning improper information, and so this idea that we have to eat da 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 and all this stuff, it's just pseudoscience, honestly.
Right.
So I think that's excellent, and you're the first person that I've spoken to that's been like, yeah, I've been alternate day fasting for almost 2 years,
Yeah.
because usually what happens with that is people have an issue with, um, being consistent, and then also sometimes people will overeat on their eat days, so
Yeah.
they're like, making up for the food that they didn't eat.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and it's crazy. I just did a video on alternate day fasting.
I saw it.
Yeah. I just did the video, so it's just interesting.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
I wanted to go back. First of all, incredible. 160 pounds total on your journey. I did
Yes.
not want to overlook that. That is incredible.
Yes.
It takes so much to be able to accomplish that goal. And kudos. Kudos. All right. um, I was curious to know, because you had mentioned that you lost roughly 100 pounds, and then I guess you started like really locking into like the alternate day.
Mhm. Yes.
What was your weight loss like? What was your experience like on the starch diet? Like, how quickly were you losing weight? What were some of the benefits you were seeing? And maybe can you contrast it against like with fasting, and how that was a little different?
Yeah. So, uh, the weight loss with the starch solution, I'm trying to remember, was still consistent. Like, so the big picture is that uh um I was losing anywhere between 4 and 12 pounds a month.
Oh
Like,
wow.
that was so the bigger numbers were of course, when I started the fasting, when I started doing the
Hmm.
alternate day fasting, for sure.
Right.
On the starch solution, probably about a pound a week. And, like, when I tell you, like, I mean, like I said, I tested it out. Like, you said, it said I could have pasta, I ate pasta, and I wasn't eating and rice. I was eating white parboiled rice. I was eating, um, um, I'm trying to think. I think I probably made maybe better choices with pasta, but sometimes I didn't. I just ate regular old off the shelf pasta. I wasn't eating organic or anything like that. I ate lots and lots and lots of potatoes. I ate lots and lots of vegetables,
Hmm.
and things like that. So I think uh, definitely an increase in the weight loss once I started alternate day fasting, for sure. Like, I would have some 8 pound, the
Hmm.
12 pounds was, I think, once I came off of like a 3 or 5 day fast. That would be about where I would. I think that was probably the most I ever lost on a water fast. It was probably about 12 pounds. But then too, I was closer to, my goal weight as well. Because by that, like I said, by that time I had already lost 100 pounds, and so
Right.
I was definitely in this weight loss phase. So, but yeah, if I had to compare the two, I feel like the alternate day fasting, the bonus was that, I was getting to know me. like the
Mm,
real me, because of that time away from food and that connection, that God connection that kept getting stronger.
mm,
It was just like, so um that was like the bonus that I never expected. Like I never went into it thinking that I was at the, in the process that I was going to meet me and get to know me and understand my value and my worthiness is because I exist. It's not based on anything I do. It's not based on me weighing 164 pounds or 324 pounds. That worthiness is worthiness because I'm a created creature by God.
mm,
And so those are the kind of things like I just didn't, like I said, I didn't expect to find myself in this space of just being like, I am really okay. Um, and self forgiveness. I mean, I could talk forever on that. Like, man, having to learn to forgive myself, being
mm,
kind to Nichelle. Like, man, I mean, if I were to see you on the street and you needed something or whatever, I'd go out of my way to help you. But I did not extend that to myself.
mm,
I would just very critical of everything I did, how I looked, how I showed up. And I had to silence that voice by just being grateful and learning to forgive. Like what I didn't know, I didn't know.
right.
I can't, I can't hold me accountable for things that I didn't know. And again, this is all, I feel like all of these are just branches out of that unworthiness, that thing. It just seemed like it just, I don't know if this was, something that's generational. I don't know if it's something that I attach myself to. I don't know. I don't know that that matters. But yeah, learning to forgive. And of course, when I can forgive me, I can forgive you. And
Mhm,
so then there's that whole opening of showing grace to people because I've shown grace to myself. What's the golden rule is that you should do unto others as you do unto yourself. But sometimes we forget because we see the saying as the others is putting others first, but it says you got to love yourself first. Like I can only treat you as well as I treat me. I
right.
can only love me as well as I love you, love you as well as I love me. And so all of that, like it starts with me. It starts with me, how well I treat myself. Um, and so all of these are like, um, as I go through this process, to me, these are like the jewels that are just like hanging out there, just
Yeah.
like sparkling, like I didn't know I'd find this. I didn't know I'd find that. And so these are the things that are just like at the end of the day, I am you know, all is well with my soul. All is well with my soul. Um, I'm blessed and I'm worthy and God loves me and I love me and I'm worthy of all good things. There's nothing good that I have to do or be, to be worthy of. It's just
Mm,
it's my humanness. It's my
mm,
the fact that I'm here. And so for me, like I said, I had to learn um, all this, at this stage of my life. I didn't I grew up traditional in some ways traditional Christian household, but for me, the God that showed up was just very punishing and very again, it just spoke to my unworthiness and my imperfections and how can I win, his favor and how can I win his blessings and things like that. And so still just always trying to be instead of just existing, just,
Mm.
you know, being in a different way, just showing up. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's I think that you just resonated with like everybody watching. Like
Hmm.
that is I hear this so much. Um Man, the negative self-talk
Hmm.
is something that's like embedded in us,
Yes.
and it constantly drives us towards everything we don't want. That's like the
Hmm.
whole and we don't understand we're doing it. So you have mastered positive self-talk, or at least you have become intentional about it. I mean,
Right. Yes.
everything that you just said,
Yes.
I'm like, "Oh, she's been working." Like,
Yes.
'cause when you understand this and you teach
Hmm.
it, when you see people doing it, it kinda stands out to you, and when
Hmm.
you see people do the opposite, it also stands out, and, I really like the idea of fake it till you make it in the sense that when you feel unworthy, you
Mm.
don't wanna say the positive things. Like, you
Right.
don't, not because 'cause you're like, "No, I'm unworthy. I don't deserve everything, and I don't da
Hmm.
da da da." And it's very challenging to be like, "No, I am worthy. I do
Hmm.
deserve this. I deserve to
Yes.
be happy." You know?
Yeah.
So, uh, man, that right there,
Hmm.
I decided a long time ago that my goal was to help people, they basically was like, "Chris, I just wanna lose weight." And I hated focusing on weight loss because of everything that you're talking about. I knew.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yo, I get it. The weight loss is great, but everything
Hmm.
else is so much better, right?" And
Hmm.
I just decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on helping people lose weight, and then hopefully through
Hmm.
that process, they will become intentional and they will see that it's so much greater than just the weight loss. Because
Yes.
what's going to draw people to watch this video is the weight loss. Oh my gosh, she
Right.
lost 160 pounds.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you know, but then
Right. Right.
hearing the nuance is really
Hmm.
like all the meat and potatoes, no pun intended. Like the walk with God, like I
Hmm.
experienced that as well, you know? And I don't know I don't know if you went into this like thinking, okay, I want to increase my spiritual
Mm-mm.
wellness, and you know what I mean? Or if that was just a byproduct. But
Yep.
I think if you go into the journey with intention to just be successful and learn as much as you can, just be open, and then
Hmm.
just allow yourself to be guided at
Yes.
different. Yeah. Mm,
Absolutely.
man, this
Yeah.
this mm, mm, mm. I am the downloads that you talk about,
Hmm.
it's people don't realize, because I didn't. I was just like, man, how do people get these downloads?
Hmm.
What I realized is God is always talking, you
Yes.
know? It's just about you being tuned in to
Yes.
be able to receive the message.
Absolutely. Being on the right frequency. Yes.
That's it.
Hmm.
Everybody is capable of getting the downloads. Everybody
Hmm.
can hear it, you know?
Yes.
It makes life so much easier.
Yes.
So, how do you feel about can you give me a contrast between how you felt prior to making these changes? So, it's 2020, or whatever, you're 324 pounds.
Hmm.
How did you feel about your outlook on life then
Hmm.
versus your outlook on life now?
Well, I think the big thing is just what we're talking about. It was just about weight loss. I just didn't want to die. I mean, I know I'm not going to live forever, but I'm a mom of three, and I wanted to be here for my children. Um, and I still believe that there were things that I should be doing. and that there were still promises and things, just goals and purpose that I still had to fulfill. But I also knew, because I had a aunt when I was 8 years old who was morbidly obese, who passed away of a massive heart attack. Like,
Mm,
she came into my life when I was 8 years old. She moved. I grew up in Ohio. She moved from Oklahoma to Ohio to kind of start this new life, and she was just an amazing person. Like, the way that I am, as far as how I have raised my children, I feel like she has had the biggest influence on me. And just for like a 9 month window, because she literally moved to Ohio. 9 months later, she had passed away from a massive heart attack, and
mm.
she was maybe 500 pounds, maybe even larger. I don't even know. Just it
Wow.
was she was so large that when she passed away, they had to take the door frame out to get her body out of
Wow.
it. So she was massive. Um, and so that has always been in the back of my head, because
Mm,
one of the things I was told was that I looked like a lot like her. So
mm,
I've always had this thing back, like, I want to be here. I don't want to die. I want to be here. I feel like there's things God has blessed me with, this family, these children, and I want to do what God sent me here to do. And so when um when I look at that, you know, it really was just about survival in the beginning. It was just like,
mhm.
really, like, how not to die. um, or at least by my own hands. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
there's life is life, but these one of the books I read during this journey was Dr. Greger's How Not to Die, and that was the first time I was really introduced to the fact that, or to the knowledge that, the basically the top diseases that we die from as Americans are preventable. And
Mhm.
I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna read this book and find some weird diseases that I've never heard of." I didn't realize it was like breast cancer, diabetes. I just was just in shock and awe that it was, yeah, these are the things that Americans die from. And
Mhm.
here's a whole book that's saying you don't have to die from this. You really can control this by choices that you make, not just my DNA, or not because my grandmother had this, she has sugar, or
Right.
this person had that. Like, I have control over that. And so, moving to this side of it, yes, it's the blessing of not having to carry around the extra weight, and to not have to walk into a room, and like, I had to figure out, like, where am I going to fit in a room anytime I went to a room. What chair am I going to sit in, where am I going to fit, how am I going to
Wow.
am I going to have to squeeze by something or maneuver something. So I don't have to do that anymore. But the other things that have come, like, I don't even think I could have imagined that. I don't think I could have imagined, like the mental freedom. Like, I don't know. Cause I just thought about, like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die like this. I don't want to
Fight or
cut my
flight.
life short. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't even so all of these other jewels that have shown up are just like blowing my mind.
Mm.
They're absolutely like blowing my mind. Like, there is joy, and there's peace, and there's happiness. And I'm not being naive to the world, to the things that are going on. But let me tell you another little jewel. Let me just throw this in.
Give it to
I
us.
got hired by my local school system as an emotional regulation coach. I'm just thinking, like, you are so funny, God. Like, how? Like, here's the girl with, the woman with all the thoughts, and
Mhm.
feeling out of control and feeling and being a people pleaser. And now I'm in a place where I get to work with elementary school kids from
Mm.
pre-K to 5th grade, helping them, giving them tools to regulate their emotions.
Yeah.
I'm like, stuff like this is just, I couldn't have, like, I couldn't have imagined it would be like this on this side. I just had
Yeah.
no clue that this whole journey would allow me, to open these kind of doors and to be able um, to build relationships with my children that is so intentional, with I tell them all the time, you know, I will put my hand on their chest and I speak into their ear when there's something that I want to get into their conscious on a level that when I'm not here, I don't want them to forget
Mm.
ever. It's just like things like that. That's just it's intuitive. I didn't read that in a book. These are more of those jewels. Like how do I don't have to scream and holler at my kids, and they're young adults. They're 16, 18, and 22. I don't have
Mhm.
to scream at them or holler at them or, you know, um, I get a sense of how I need to be with each of them. And then I go with that. My children, I tell them all the time, you are seen, you are heard, and you are wanted. It was never a day that none of those things were not true. And so those are things like those that these are the things that I have on this side that I didn't have on the other side, at 324. Um, uh, but when I lay the fork down, you know, and give my mind and my body a period of just like peace and rest and quiet, and it's a blessing to get up and not have to worry about, like, I get out the house 15 minutes sooner because I don't have to pack a lunch, because I don't have to think about what I'm eating. All I got to do is make sure I got 4 or 5 bottles of water and I'm out.
Mm.
Those kind of things. Uh, I learned the difference between like clean fasting, and once I really started focusing in on clean fasting, it got really easy. You know, water, clean fasting. That's what I drink. Water. Some days, sometimes I'll have some black coffee. Uh, yeah, that's very rare. But most days that the days that I'm fasting, it's just water. It's just, just I try to get in my gallon of water. Drinking the 16-ounce bottle every 2 hours for 8 hours will give me a gallon of water. So, but yeah, so they're gifts, they're jewels. They just keep going. And I feel like as long as I stay on this path, I keep focusing on my purpose, sharing my story, um, uh, uh, willing to forgive. Um, it doesn't, there's no destination. I'm not
Mm.
trying to get to anywhere. I'm just being the created being that was always intended. I feel like that's my goal. My goal was when God created me and he sent me through my parents, he had an intention for me. That's what I'm trying to that's what I am accomplishing, not trying. That this is what I will accomplish in this lifetime. And so it's going to be constantly opening. It's going to be maybe in a year from now, uh we'll be talking and I'll say, Chris, I've been raw vegan for 12 months now, because that's in the background. I'm
Yeah.
hearing like little whispers of like, what would that look like?
Yeah.
What would that feel like? And what jewels are waiting for me on that side,
Mhm.
of being raw vegan. So I don't even know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. how that works out. But I'm just open. I'm just open, I'm in a space where I'm just like, thy will be done. So
I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna crack you up. I actually was gonna ask you, have you ever thought about eating raw, or have you ever practiced raw eating?
I did a little. And I kind of, so this was probably about 10 years ago. And it would definitely be a lot more simpler than if I were to go into it now, it would be a lot more
Hmm.
simpler. Because I had the dehydrator, and I didn't understand that if I wanted burgers tonight, I had to dehydrate them 36 hours ago.
Right.
I come in the house hungry, thinking I'm gonna throw this burger together, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you gonna eat burgers on Sunday, not
Right.
tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would definitely, it would be simple. It
Hmm.
would really be fruits, nuts, vegetables. It would be simple. I would
Yeah.
eat, smoothies. I doubt that I would get into the whole I guess they call that more like the gourmet. But um
It's like fine dining.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
It's the interesting thing about raw food is all of everything that you're talking about as far as like the dehydrating and prepping,
Mhm.
that comes from us trying to make raw food like our standard diet,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like that's
Mhm.
all that is.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to like nature's like, here's your banana, here's your
There you go.
apple, very
Right.
simple, extremely easy to digest. You're
Mhm.
getting nutrients, your fibers, your minerals, your water, all in one
Right.
convenient package. It's literally perfect food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I think that you're on the right track with that thinking.
Yeah.
I personally, I enjoy doing the explorative stuff every once in a while.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
if it because I'm in Dallas. If we had more, like, I don't think we have any raw restaurants. If we
Oh.
had like raw restaurants, I would
Mhm.
eat there on a regular basis because it's like I get the best of both worlds.
Mhm.
But I'm on the same page. My mind, I'm actually thinking that my ultimate goal is really to have my garden and literally
Mm.
go as I'm tending my garden, doing whatever. I pick some fruit, I pick some vegetables, I eat it, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's one of the things I'm learning about our food is because it doesn't have the minerals,
Mhm.
it doesn't have the sweetness, it doesn't have the flavor. Food comes flavored. Food comes seasoned. Food
Right.
comes cooked. Nature does everything,
Right.
but because we are so far from nature in modern times. I mean, we get most of our stuff out of a bag.
Right.
We don't get that. So we have to do all this extra work to it. So
Mhm.
I want to get to a place where I can just my grandpa used to go back to his garden. It was behind his
Mm.
his garage. He'd grab a tomato off the vine
Yeah.
and just eat it like an apple.
Just eat it.
You know?
Ooh, yes.
And at the time as a child, I didn't get it. I was like,
Mhm.
that's weird. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it was weird to me. Like you're eating a tomato weird. But it's like, no, like that's normal.
Right. Buying prepackaged food is what is weird.
That's the weird part. Yeah. I think that I really enjoyed your contrast between where you were mentally then versus now, because what I heard was I mentioned fight or flight,
Mhm.
um, um, survival mode, just
Yeah.
trying to live, right? You were
Mhm.
fighting to live.
Yep.
Well, when you're fighting to live, you can't thrive. You
Mm-mm.
can't learn. You can't grow. You have reproductive issues. You develop all sorts of issues from the amount of stress. Also, when you're in that mind frame, you have lower brain function. This is why
Hmm.
people deal with issues with clarity of mind, because even though you come to your nice little house and you drive your little nice fancy car, you are stressed. Your
Mm.
body feels stressed. The
Mhm.
lights are stressing your body. The water, the air, obviously
Mm.
the food, we talked
Right.
about that, our crappy relationships. So
Mhm.
there's not a lion trying to eat you, but the environment is
Hmm.
constantly weighing on you.
Yep.
And what your transformation, I think, notates is that when you release all of that additional stress, it's not just about weight loss anymore. It's about things that you wouldn't even be able to perceive prior to that because you
Mhm.
you just didn't have the brain power to do it. You weren't
Mhm.
tuned in. Um,
Yep.
I cannot understate that. Like people, I hope people hear you
Hmm.
because, in my opinion, it's the biggest piece. And then, you know, the future outlook is just open.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about one day, you might say I'm doing the raw vegan thing. You know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
being open and allowing
Mhm.
the journey to unfold. And as I like to say, the journey of discovery is it. Like you
Mm.
mentioned, it's not about the destination. You're never going to make it anywhere.
Nope.
No, there's no destination. It's the journey. Have
Yes.
fun and enjoy it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. And look, it
I,
brought me here. Who would have ever thought?
that- that's and that was another thing about your story because like where you are, being able to teach children how to manage their emotions, everything. I
Mhm.
I was an electrician. I was in construction, and my
Wow.
goal in life was to do real estate, which
Mm.
I'm still doing. But I did not have on my radar wellness coaching, wellness brand, this
Right.
business at all. So, isn't it fun when you don't know what's coming, but you know it's going to be better than where you were? Like
Yes.
you don't need to know what's coming when you just know life is going to get better. Every
Yes.
year you're going to build.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay, what's next life?
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
where it's like man plans, God laughs type thing. Like, um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and then just look, I mean, for this to have come out of one of the worst times in the history of mankind.
mhm,
Like a lot of us did not survive COVID, but here we are, 3 years, I hate to say post because there's still people suffering from COVID, but the fact that for me on the days that I maybe don't feel so strong, I can always look back and be like, look at what you come from. Look at what you come through. Look,
yeah,
so when the tough times that do come, I know I'll get through those too.
yep, that's it.
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity to share any additional information. I don't know if you've got a social media, you tell your story on YouTube. So whatever you want to kind of share with the community, if you
Okay.
do, if you have programs available, give it to us.
Okay. So yes, you can find me on YouTube as chickpeas and lentils. Those are two of my favorite legumes. And so I started my YouTube channel with the intention of not only helping just one body, if I can help just one body, but also what I would find myself when I was in the season of yo yo dieting
Mm,
is that so once I got ready to start again, another diet or another try, I would never remember what happened. I couldn't ever pinpoint where did the train derail? Where did I get lost? Where did I lose my way, my footing? What was I thinking? What changed? So I was
uh,
like, I'm going to document this. Like, so if
mm,
we're if I end up in that place again, I will have documentation. I can go back. Not only can I go back, I can, I have and see myself, but I can also the message that I was trying to relate at that moment in time. So
Mhm.
that was my whole intention. I was just like, I gotta have a way. Because of course I journal. We can talk about that another time. But yeah, journaling is huge, huge, huge in this process as well.
Yeah.
I journal, I write and things like that. But there is just something about having this documented and the accountability.
Mhm.
So I am chickpeas and lentils on YouTube. I am chickpeas and lentils on Instagram and on Facebook. That is how you can find me.
Easy money.
Yes.
You are this is it's funny that you said that because I was actually thinking, um, for especially for people who deal with yo-yoing, just getting as
Mhm,
intentional as possible, documenting and, you know, being able to discover, "Okay, where did I go wrong? What was my stressor? Da 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 da
mhm,
da da."
mhm.
Oh, man, journaling, yeah, we won't get onto it today, but people, if you watch my content, you already know how I
Mhm.
feel about journaling. I've
Yep.
made a fasting journal, you
Mm,
know, and me understanding the power of journaling just was like random. It just happened because I think men less likely to journal and stuff like
mhm,
that.
mhm,
And I think for me, because I saw so much success with my credit and my business through journaling, I was like,
mm.
wait a minute, we did you this has got this got to work across the board.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
thank you for mentioning that. So for those who want to journal, I got the journals restocked in the store, the AHA store. Go to a healthyalternative.org, grab your wellness journal. You already know what it is. Do you have any final thoughts for us before we wrap up?
Uh, okay. So my final thoughts are um, this is just to the person who just feels stuck. Like you can do this. You can do this. I'm telling you, I am a living testimony that this can happen for you. Um, you have to dispel or maybe challenge the the self-talk, the thing that tells, that thing that says maybe you're too old. Well, I'm 56 and I did this as a, in my mid to late 50s. So you can throw that out the window. You know, the story of you've always been, overweight or you big boned it or whatever it is, dispel that, challenge
Mm,
that, just challenge that. That doesn't have to be your truth. I'm telling you that you can do this, and not just this, whatever it is that you feel stuck, wherever it is in your life. It may not necessarily be um, weight or food, but whatever it is, you can do it. You can do it. Um, you have got to uh, start trusting in the intuitiveness that God has given us all. Because
mhm,
believe, this is my belief. If there was no Bible, if there was no religions, if there were none of the things that we associate ourselves with, I would still know God, and He would still live in me, and He would still reveal Himself to me.
mhm,
And so you've got to get to that place of surrender and acceptance and being willing just to get curious. I'm not telling you to let go everything, but maybe just get curious as to you know, why you're doing, some of the behaviors, some of the choices. Get curious about them and just kind of see what happens. But I I just I believe that we're all worthy of all good things.
mm,
I don't care if you're 400 pounds. I don't care if you're at your goal weight. I don't care if you have $2 in the bank, or if you're a multimillionaire, whatever. We're all worthy. We're all worthy of good things. And maybe start that as a mantra for yourself. Um, I just heard this recently. When you start off a sentence that's with I am, in the Hebrew, I am means it is done.
mm,
So You're blessing
Wow.
yourself or you're cursing yourself.
Right.
So
Right.
be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. I am worthy of all good things. Say that to yourself. Say that in your mirror. Write that down in your journal because
Mm.
you are. And so be mindful of when we put other things after that I am that are not um incongruent with, where you want to go and the things that God has promised and purposed for you. So I'll stop
Oh,
there.
hey, listen, that is a great place to stop it. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And I'll see you all next time.